The Frame Center Podcast.
All right, welcome to the Frame Center Podcast. Today, it's just me and Scott. Nobody here to join us, so we're just going to cover some subjects. We're going to start a series of talking about
informative updates to make you more aware of what you can get out of custom framing.
Yeah, and I think I think that the more that we do, when I go to people's houses, the more we do and we're interacting with customers, the more I think that I forget that we know a lot more about framing than the average people. So, just starting at the real basic points and just covering all the different materials, I think is a good idea.
Yeah.
Maybe expanding on that at some point with the social media team and getting into a little bit more videos that are explaining how to do things like hanging pictures and just starting from like step one, how to wire a job correctly.
Properly,
which you forget after you've done like 10,000 jobs or 10,000 wires on the back of something, that customers come in and they want something wired.
Yeah, we kind of autopilot it at this moment. We don't even have to think about it, which type of hanger we're going to put on it or what kind of knotting we're going to do to wrap the piece up, but it's not always
because other things too are like, I when I did a bunch of stuff recently, like jobs weren't wired well, which makes it hanging things a little bit more difficult because you got to start by like, all right, I got to rewire them. And then you got big pieces with saw teeth on them, and then you got the saw teeth on the corners, like they're done like it's wall buddies, but I feel like just starting from step one, like, all right, these are the different types of hardware that goes on the back of jobs, and
their
these
uses.
this is when it's a good idea. This is why you hang things like this, like
their weight limits.
I have this extremely heavy mirror, and there's these things on the back, but there's no wire. It's like, all right, well, that's a D-ring. You want to hang it directly on that, but like helping to educate the consumers, educating people that want to do some of this stuff themselves, or just like so they understand why those things are done a certain way. I think it's a good idea and a good starting point. Yeah. Like I said, I forget all the time that like, all right, go put this frame together. It's like, there's a little bit more behind that.
Yeah, we always say it's easy to put together. It is easy to put together if you've done it a few dozen times. And after walking through it and going through the motions, you'll understand how easy it is too. And that's what we want to get to. We want to make it so that it's easy for anybody to be able to, display their pieces on the wall without having to worry about it falling down. Yeah. And not having to rely on 3M command hooks.
Yeah, 3M
Velcro
command hooks
hangers.
Are not a good idea. But even like the wiring of jobs, it's like sometimes I think like with the ready-mades, maybe we should pre-drill on all, so that people don't
the spot where they would need to hang it. So like that it's already.
You want to put these hooks a third of the way down, like how many people do you think just judging from some stuff I've seen, it's like, all right, well, that one is almost a third of the way down, and then the other one's like almost
half.
And that kind of throws off the balance when you're going to
crooked.
Yeah, and then it's like, all right, I got to put another hole in the wall, like slide it over another half inch to make it hang on the wall straight.
Yep.
I think that's a series that we will start at some point, but today we're going to cover glass.
Yes. What a pain.
What a pain. I know you've been
terrible. I know. I've been waiting to use that pun. It's written on the top of my paperwork for God knows how many months now. But it's.
This is a subject you really wanted to get into.
It is because it's important. A lot of people come in and we go through the whole process, and I usually leave during custom framing glass to the end because it's the one I usually have to have the most time I need to explain to people. Just to kind of, we've gotten everything else. We picked the frame. We picked the mat. We figured out how we want to mount it. But now, how do you want to look at this piece for the the next several years while you've got it up on your wall? Do you have what kind of lighting do you have? Because this all affects how your picture's going to look, depending on what kind of glass you put in there.
Yep.
The main reason for glass, keep stuff from getting to your artwork. A standard piece of glass is going to keep smoke, moisture, properly fitted smoke, moisture, and just any other kind of environmental hazards from getting to your artwork. That's its main purpose on there. The different types of glass we offer after that cover different lighting situations, and depending on what art you have inside, it's gonna make a vast difference on what you have. So.
Yeah. And there's a lot of different types of glass out there, but I mean, we offer, for the most part, there's 3 main ones that we're selling, and they're all, from the custom framing end, all have the conservation qualities.
99% UV protection.
Yep.
And they're all supplied through the same supplier, so that way there's not different grades from different people. We all get them from TrueView.
Yep. Consistency.
Yep, exactly. But so you're going to have your standard glass is just going to be called, regular standard paned glass. When you go to conservation framing, and the first one you're going to go with is conservation clear. It looks exactly like any other type of glass you're going to have in your house. So if you have other pictures up already that you're not reframing and you want it to kind of match up with everything else, that's usually the go-to standard glass that we have. Protects it with 99% UV, so even regular house lighting will fade a picture over time. It doesn't matter if a sunbeam is going across it or not. Regular UV, a regular lamp light, if you got the fluorescent ceiling lighting, any of that kind of stuff will affect your pictures over time. Not as quickly, but it will do it. 5 years later, if you go to take it out of a picture frame and look at the edges, you'll see a different discoloration mark. So
that's always a funny one. Like years later, you were like changing the framing, and it's like you pull the mat back, and it's like it's a different color. That or everything turns blue.
Right. Yeah.
There's a lot of. It's like, you realize that this print is not.
Yeah, this wasn't antique vanilla. This was actually yellow at one point.
Yeah.
This was a vibrant yellow piece with green, not blue, striping or something along those lines. But it can definitely be a bummer. It's a piece that you have, or it's a specialty thing that you had from a concert or from a family member's outing or something along those lines, or even just vintage photos that you can't easily reproduce, or then you have to go and pay big money to have it fixed, touched up, brightened, any of that thing. Just putting a piece of conservation clear glass in there will save you headaches right off the bat from there.
Yeah, and conservation glass, fantastic, but I would still, even with the conservation glass, you don't want something hanging in direct sun.
No matter how much protection's on there, a sunbeam, going across a picture is going to
do some damage to it eventually.
So get some shades.
Yeah. So step 1 up from the conservation clear, just going into non-conservation reflection control. Upsides and downsides to that.
Yeah, I mean, there's pluses and minuses on everything. It ends up having I'd say a softened look to it. It has more of an antique quality because of this glare protection coating that gets placed on it. It diffuses the light so that when light hits the glass, it doesn't create a reflection bouncing back. So if you have a lamp or a television, you'll get a soft glow going across your glass instead, but you'll still be able to see everything else underneath. The downside is anything under that glass is also going to be softened. So if you have really crisp photographs, or if you have anything with hyper detail, or anything along like sometimes newer maps or things like that, anything with tiny writing, it's going to become harder and a little fuzzier to see without getting really up close to it. And it kind of defeats the purpose on some things. But for other pieces like pastels, watercolors, antique photos, things that already have a softened look to start with, it can really actually, I think, make a picture look better.
Yeah, diplomas are usually, in my opinion, always like, and non-glare is always a safe call on those also.
Because that way, no matter what you have for office lighting, house lighting, anything, no matter where you can put it, it's going to be visible and viewable. But it's really a benefit over the standard glass. Like I said, the downside is like the softened look, and sometimes that drives people nuts. It makes some people compare it to being dirty or clean. It's that antique look, and that's what they use the wrong wording, and it comes off as a negative, but it's really not a negative. It's just, I'm looking right across the way from where we're sitting here, and there's 2 maps, one with a standard piece of glass in it, which I can then read all the frames on the shelf next to it, and then there's the one with the non-glare, and it just has a softened glow going across it, but I can still read out every word on that map and make out exactly what the shape is on something. So based on your lighting situation, it can be a much more beneficial look than just standard glass.
Yep, and then it goes to the the top of the line glasses, which is the museum glass.
The clarity of the regular clear glass with the added benefit of reducing the reflection by, I'd say, about 70%.
Yep.
Makes everything get like a pale pink or a pale blue tone to it if a light does show up in it, which is far less distracting than a glaring white bulb light or a sun streak sitting in a room.
I'd say the museum glass is actually a little clearer too.
The clarity.
You don't even in some instances you don't even see that there's glass on there. It's just like
based on our little display over downstairs with the amount of fingerprints I have to keep wiping off the museum glass because no one believes there's actually anything in it.
There's really glass.
There's actually glass in there.
Yeah.
But it makes colors richer without having that bounce back of light inside. From regular glass, it allows more of that true color to come through. Blacks look richer, colors look more vibrant, and it really does, in the right lighting situation, look like nothing is on there.
Yep.
But if you do have a light sitting on it, it's almost barely noticeable. It really is the best of all the different types of glass we offer. And it does come in two types. You can get the museum, and you can also get one called AR.
Yep.
AR is the same as museum, except it has a lower UV protection level. It just drops down to 70% UV. And a lot of artists prefer it because it's easier to clean and not as hard to handle.
Yep.
When going to shows, a lot of people are going to be touching your pieces, moving it back and forth, even just on the initial drop-off phase, not to mention when it's actually on display. And having fingerprints across your piece is kind of hard to clean off and have to constantly go up and wipe and take care of it. So some people prefer the AR. They don't, for the amount of time it's going to be hanging, the lower protection value on the UV doesn't matter as much to them.
Yep.
The value, it's a little less expensive, but not by a whole lot. I'd say it's around the same par as what non-glare glass would run. But yeah, there are some differences for it.
Yeah, and then all of those, those three options also come in the plexiglass form. And again, plexiglass has its own benefits, being lighter on some of the bigger pieces. The size options get a little bit larger,
Fragility.
Yeah. So, it's a little bit safer when you have a 48 by 72 inch.
Transporting a giant map or a.
Yeah. That makes for one of the uses for plexi, if you're shipping stuff, a lot of artists, have stuff going into shows. I think some shows do require plexiglass. The downside being that, it scratches.
It scratches, has a static buildup sometimes. Yep. Usually not recommended for anything that you're going to work with pastels or a dust-like particle because it will actually, in the right situation, especially after cleaning, will create a static charge that will actually pull the particles off the paper.
Yep.
And the last thing you want is having have your artwork transferred to the glass and then, get wiped away.
So, so the three majors are available in that plexiglass form. We also do, for the ready-made stuff that we have, rather than giving people a conservation clear glass in there that's a little bit trickier to handle, the ready-mades we do are just filled with real basic,
standard
basic
glass.
Standard glass. We do have a lot of customers that come in that buy, ready-mades on a regular basis and just have us flip the glass out because they want to use the conservation glass. So that's an easy fix if you don't have to go to custom if you find a ready-made frame that works, and you still have that option, always the option to upgrade the glass.
Because on occasion people don't even need the glass that's in the ready-made, so to put a higher end glass inside there that could end up getting scratched or damaged in transit or changing things out, it's easier just to have the regular glass.
There's some basic, and again it goes back to the whole thing with I assume that everyone knows how to wire a job or how to hang a picture on the wall, but everyone also probably knows how to handle a piece of conservation glass, right?
Exactly.
It's not, you forget after you've done it for a long time. There's a certain side that faces the artwork. If that's reversed, it can be very problematic as far as scratching. And that looks terrible.
You got to remove all the protection off of it. You go to clean and wipe it, it can actually remove it.
Yep, the interior side on the conservation glass, you don't want to use an ammonia-based cleaner on. In museum glass, period, you don't want to use a ammonia-based cleaner on.
Safest bet is, we use a 50-50 mix of water and a 90% rubbing alcohol, and that's the best and simplest way to clean your glass without having to worry about anything happening, because it will remove any dust and particles you have on there. And, take off some little goobies if you have any little stickers or things that get on there. But for the most part, it's going to evaporate to the point where you don't have to worry about leaving any streaks and things behind. So it cleans up a lot easier. If you use something like a Windex or any powerful base cleaner, it's going to end up eating away at the film that's used. That's the protection on the glass, and it kind of defeats the whole purpose.
We get that on occasion too. I mean, for the most part, once your picture is up on the wall, you shouldn't be having.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be you running into like, any real points where people are touching your pictures.
Yeah.
But
a gentle dusting shouldn't require anybody,
exactly.
Yeah.
Just a microfiber cloth or a, just like an old T-shirt. Just
some cotton.
And that will actually, in fact, take out a lot of the
just a buffing.
like a single fingerprint or something like that.
Yeah,
you don't have to get into like a heavy duty cleaning. I've seen a number of things over the years with like a cleaning crew is
come through with the spray foam cleaner, and it just
it does a number on the glass.
Yeah, and it ends up creating a permanent pattern, or people take the Windex spray and you just get this permanent mist pattern on the glass that you can't remove. You have to replace it.
Yep. I've seen a couple of I think the pictures must have been on the ground, and it was like the Swiffer thing.
Oh yeah.
Like that does a number on the frame and the glass.
Yeah.
So,
not saying you have to baby it, but
baby
it a little bit.
If you have a crew coming in or a regular, you might mention that certain things don't need to.
We try to
Stay
let
away
people
from this one.
Exactly. We try to let people know when they pick up, especially if they've gotten something like the museum glass or things like that. We have stickers we place on the back of all the artwork that we frame just to inform people what it's about and things along those lines. And if people have any questions, they can always let us know or ask us before they go ahead and do anything. We've had plenty of people ask us that stuff.
And that's another video series or another segment. Just be your basic care for glass or care for pictures.
Basic care over wear and tear. It's really easy to do it once you know the proper things to use. It's really, we don't always have to treat things with white gloves around here just because we know how to handle everything. And there are certain things though that when you're cutting the panes of glass, especially in the museum, we actually don't use cloths and things like that to grab everything with, so that we don't transfer anything, just to save ourselves time. Having to clean and resurface everything before getting everything fit to get together. So
again, those are just like simple things that you forget the people. Because something will leave here, someone will call me to go and install it, and I get there, and it's like, what the hell? What do you do? You get all right.
Does everyone just lean when they look at these pictures?
Before we hang this up, we're gonna need to wipe it down. Especially you get some of like a black mat or.
Oh yeah, that's anything that has any particles, or if you have anything. The high gloss black mats, those are always so much fun to.
Yeah, but a fingerprint shows up brutally over that. So
dark material. Yep. So.
Yeah. Well, and then so again, we can kind of, if need be, someone can order off the menu and get a piece of regular glass if it's something that they need. We just don't really start with that. Too many decisions make it. Even the 3 is kind of complicated for customers sometimes.
Well, we have visual aids. Visual aids in the store always help for that. We have 3 maps hanging right next to each other in the store that I go to, my go-to all the time. I go, do you like this look, or this look? And which one is grabs your attention first? And that's usually the easier way to explain it. I'll break down everything to everybody. Visually seeing what each one does to the same style kind of map underneath really makes it easier for people to get the idea of what's going on that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, I think it's pretty. When you see the 3 pieces of glass, it's pretty. It's pretty obvious. The museum glass is the best, but there is an added cost to the finer things are generally cost a little more. Obviously, or otherwise we would only offer one type of glass.
Oh my God, yeah. No. But it's the fragility. That's what makes it more expensive. Same thing if you have like a high gloss frame versus a standard black satin frame. The high gloss frame is going to be more, just because it's more care that needs to go into taking care of it, cutting it, and putting it together. It's as simple as that. Nothing too
Yeah, but again, the proper handling of them, and I don't know where that when you're giving your spiel out front, you end with the glass. It would be a little bit more complicated if you had to go over 8 different options.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's like there is.
You sure you don't want plexiglass?
Yeah. Yeah, and again, depending on the type of artwork, or the size of the piece, there's things I don't include just to save a person time.
Yep.
If someone brings me in a piece that's, those maps for Dan that we've done all those times, those giant maps, I'm not even going to offer him glass because the glass doesn't come large enough to it. So I'll offer him all the different plexiglass options.
Yep.
I don't even have to discuss the glass options. But if somebody brings me in a small little 8x10, more than likely, and it's something that's just going right to their home, I'm going to discuss glass over plexi.
Yep.
If somebody's got a pastel or anything along those lines, I'm never going to really offer plexi unless they ask for it. If it's going to be transported across country, plexiglass is going to be the least of your worries with, a pastel or something that's that delicate. So, that comes down to packing and shipping. But spider webbing glass versus a single crack through a piece of plexiglass, there are definite downsides and upsides for both pieces,
Well, I don't know. I think we've covered glass today.
Glass, yeah. No, it's a little informative subject there.
If we missed something and you're listening to this, add something in the comments, ask questions, give us a call, shoot us an email.
Yeah.
Again, there's a lot of things that with people that have been in this business and surrounded by things or anything that we're probably forgetting. If there's a subject you want us to cover, there's a part of framing or a material that you'd like more information on, please reach out. And
we'd be happy to go into
cover
discussions on anything that anybody wants to talk about for framing.
Yeah, it gives us a chance to get upstairs, take a break, talk about product.
Exactly.
All right.
Well, thanks everybody for joining us today.
And, see ya!